Ooh, doesn't that look yummy? I bet a lot of you are already familiar with Quiche Lorraine, and maybe some of you know how to make it. Maybe some of you don't. If you don't, please watch this video because I'm going to show you how easy it is. Quiche Lorraine is a classic dish, and it's a very versatile dish. You can eat it warm or at room temperature, and it's a great dish to take along on a picnic. For this recipe, I ended up using 2 cups of shredded Swiss cheese, and I did shred that with a grater. And I also used 2 pie crust. Now, the original recipe only calls for 1 homemade pie crust, but I'm using store-bought pie crust, which makes this recipe a lot easier. So what you see me doing here is adding 1.5 cups of half and half. That's what I've chosen to use, or you could use 3/4 cup milk and 3/4 cup heavy cream if you prefer. I prefer to use half and half. Here you see me adding a dash of salt. Of course, you can use as much salt as you like. It's up to you. And here I'm adding a pinch of cayenne pepper. And here I'm adding a pinch of nutmeg. And of course, you can adjust your seasonings however you like. You also need 1 tablespoon of flour, which I have measured out, and 2 tablespoons of melted butter. And now I'm adding my 4 eggs. And I'm going to combine all ingredients in a bowl. I'm using a whisk to mix everything together. This is a very simple recipe. I've chosen to use 2 frozen pie crusts. They're supposed to be deep dish pie crusts, but I was afraid that the filling might be a little bit too much for 1 pie crust. So I decided to make 2 quiches, and I'm using 1 cup of shredded Swiss cheese for each pie crust. And of course, if you're making Quiche Lorraine, you're either going to need bacon or ham, whatever your preference is. I prefer bacon. I'm using center cut Oscar Mayer bacon, and the original recipe calls for half a pound of bacon, but I'm using slightly less than the whole package. I prefer to cook my bacon in the microwave because it's less messy. And of course, you're going to want to tear or crumble your bacon into small pieces and spread those around the pie crust. And now it's time to pour your custard over the bacon and the cheese. In each pie crust, of course, you want to make sure that you pour, an equal amount into each pie crust. And when you're finished adding the filling to each pie crust, you're going to bake these in a preheated oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit. The recipe says about 40 minutes, but please keep in mind that baking times could vary, depending on your oven. You might need to adjust either the baking time or the oven temperature. You should know when these are done because the custard will be firm and puffy and lightly browned. And you should also be able to smell the quiche cooking in your oven. Yay, here is the final result. As soon as this cools down, I'm going to cut into this and try a piece. And of course, it's delicious, just like you would expect it to be. Quiche is great served warm or cool. And this would be great along with a bottle of white wine. It's the perfect thing to take on a picnic on a beautiful summer day. Okay, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments section below. I would love to hear from you. And please do subscribe to my TikTok channel if you haven't already done so, because I do plan to upload similar content in the future.